Hi everyone, this is an unscheduled video. I have some bad news and good news to share, and I'll be starting with the bad news first. As some of you may have already guessed, this is about Build Script Gate. Basically, some competitive players have found an exploit in the Netrunner DB API that allowed them to access private deck lists without other players' consent. If you want more information on what exactly they did, you can go to StimHack forums, Reddit, etc., your favorite news outlet to go read out on it more. I won't go into the details here. However, I will be discussing this invasion of privacy, and while I don't usually indulge in discussing such issues on my channel, I'm making an exception this once for a very good reason. Safe to say, the act of scraping through what's meant to be private data without consent from the victims, that is, those whose data has been scraped, is not ethical, to say the least, especially not given that it was for personal gains. This was used to gain an advantage at this year's Worlds. Whether it constitutes cheating in the context of Worlds is a separate discussion. I'm not going to focus on that today. But whether intended or otherwise, the acts of these data scrapers have directly affected us in many ways, both the victims themselves and the community at large. As someone with friends in the former category, and more importantly, having received much support from the community, I am most compelled to make a statement regarding this incident on my channel, so I hope you all understand. We'll start off with the victims. First off, I'm sorry that your efforts in deck building have been trivialized just like that, and I empathize the position you're in, because I was on the hit list as well. I was one of those that was being data scraped. The silver lining for me, however, is that I'm not attending Worlds this year. And you know something has gone awry when not attending Worlds turns out to be good news. Accessing data that many of us meant to keep under wraps without our consent is utterly disrespectful. No matter how easy the URL exploit might have been. At the end of the day, we are a strong, though small, gaming community, and I cannot stand for such acts of disrespect, especially among fellow members. In my humble opinion, those affected are owed a personal apology, given the targeted nature of the data scraping, and indeed there have been some apologies made at the time of this recording. Conveniently, Worlds is an opportunity for everyone to meet up in person, and I do hope this can be resolved then. Now on to the more important aspect in my opinion, which is how this incident has affected the Netrunner community at large. I throw around this word community a lot, and with good reason. Honestly, you don't find as many communities as awesome as this one. I'm sure all of you agree. There are too many instances of wonderful outcomes that have come out of this game, only possible with the good faith of the community. To name a few, for example, Triss receiving overwhelming prize support for the South African Netrunner community, or Richard's charity gift tournaments raising a lot of money for charity. Personally, I've done live commentary for online tournaments such as BBW qualifiers and the UK StimHack League. These are not possible with the current infrastructure due to the way spectators work in JNet, unless we trust fellow players and competitors to not cheat. We are not obliged to provide content like this, and honestly, we might not even deserve it. These events and community efforts are only possible with the generosity of fellow players. Precious time and effort were invested into benefiting many other players, as is the case with Alciende's Netrunner DB. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. But anyway, to exploit this community-made deck builder against the players themselves for very selfish benefit, when said exploiters could have instead done good by fixing this problem, contributing to the open source code base. This is what truly leaves me ashamed. It's one thing if some random keyboard warrior dumped everyone's deck info, just like WikiLeaks does, but it's another to have this come from prominent members of our community done for selfish gain. I sincerely hope this does not turn people off from contributing to the Netrunner community. I would be pretty miffed, not gonna lie, if my community efforts were abused against the community itself. This also impacts newer players in our community looking to invest further into the game, maybe enter the competitive scene, attend a regionals or something. If I were to dive into a new game one day, for example, taking the shoes of those newer players among us, and I hear about rumors of top level players resorting to unethical behavior just to win, I'd surely think twice about entering the competitive scene. What about if the entire community decided to encourage this behavior, celebrate it, thinking that it's, utterly thematic and ironic that people are resorting to real life hacking to win a fictional game about hacking? Well, if people are celebrating unethical behavior in top level play, I would highly consider even getting into this game in the first place. Not gonna lie. So in closing, what this incident has done was to disrespect fellow competitors, made a mockery of community contributions, and turn players away from the competitive scene, and possibly even the game. Now you know why I feel strongly about this, despite not being directly affected, and now you know why I feel the need to talk about this here. Again, I'm sorry to have to do this, but this is a very grave incident. I can only sincerely hope that things move on from here. So yes, thanks to everyone for listening to my opinion. And well, hopefully for now, let's move on to something that did personally affect me. This nonsense here. What is this? What? One day I just decided to publish the guy's deck to let everyone have a look at it because I was making a video about it. And one fine morning I woke up to find that it became deck list of the week. This is nuts. I completely didn't expect this at all, and it's crazy because to share with you all the story, I finished in the top cut, pretty well positioned last year in a couple of tournaments. Worlds was one of them, obviously, but there was also a regional where I managed to bring a fairly fair deck in Jammy HB, and I was trying to get my deck to become the deck list of the week by publishing it and maybe doing a video on it and stuff, but it never became deck list of the week. I don't think I ever got a chance to become deck list of the week because I think there was one week where one of my decks was outpipped by some stupid peaceful harmony medtech deck that helps the runner. That really left me miffed, but out of nowhere came this. So I guess for those of you who want deck list of the week, don't try. It will naturally come to you one day. Anyway, rambling aside, thanks to everyone who chipped in a like or a favorite. I know this doesn't really mean much because the main reason why I got Netrunner deck list of the week was mostly because there were no recent tournaments and everyone was too busy prepping for Worlds. So I ended up just sniping it, but still, I get the message. Between this piece of good news and the recent unraveling of private data, sharing is caring. And moving forward, I would like to explore ways in which we can further share and further care, sounding as cheesy as it is. What I'm thinking of, this is a plan in the works, and I would really appreciate community feedback on it. What I want to do is to do a Google Doc that compiles all the deck lists of decks I've built so far, starting from the recent Core 2 rotation plus new ban lists. So the main motivation for this is that currently the way which I publicize deck list is very scattered, in the sense that while you know where the deck list is, it's always at the end of the video. I put a link to it at the end of the video and you can always click on it and you know there will be a deck list there most of the time. The problem is there isn't one unified one centralized page where you can see all the deck lists that I've done so far. I think there is that functionality on Netrunner DB. You can see all my published deck lists, but most of my deck lists are actually private. The reason I don't publish most of my decks that I play on my YouTube channel is because it will clog up Netrunner, the published page of Netrunner DB. I don't think every single one of my decks is worth publishing. There's a lot of weird random tier 2, tier 3 stuff that I'm not that proud of publishing. And as a result, some of these are left in the private recesses of Netrunner DB, only retrievable via unethical bots. Okay, let's not get back into that. But so basically the main aim is to compile both my private and public deck list into one page so that you have easy access to it. And so if one day you feel like playing NBN, for example, you can just go to the Google Docs, search up all my NBN decks, and pick one of them at your leisure. I think this is probably a good start and I think a very useful resource for those of you who like net decking off me. I mean, I don't mean this in any negative way, but some players simply don't have the time to build decks and just want a semi-decent deck that they can learn quickly and play quickly. That I completely understand, and this is where I'm going with this initiative, hopefully to help out those players with less time to invest in the game, hopefully make things easier to search up and get down and dirty quickly. So what I need from you viewers out there, especially those of you who this Google Doc might be useful to, is to let me know what else you would like to see in this Google Doc. Currently the plan is to put the identity of the deck, like for example New Angela Sol, and a short description of what it does, maybe like hard-hitting news into boom kill, for example. And maybe optionally YouTube links if I've ever played that deck before on YouTube, as well as obviously the Netrunner DB link. If there's any other info that you'd like to see in such a Google Doc, please let me know. And in future, I'll just link directly to the Google Doc instead of having to route through Patreon and yeah, very weird stuff. So please do let me know if you have any ideas at all. I am very welcome to suggestions, and hopefully with enough good ideas, I can turn this into a community effort. Again, this is the least I can do in the wake of recent events, and I hope this will be a successful initiative. I've done numerous initiatives on my channel in the past, some successful, some less. Hopefully this will be one of the more successful ones. We can only wait and see. But in the meantime, as always, thanks everyone for your support, and thanks for your time in listening out to me, and I hope you have a good day. Goodbye.